Hi, Lovers and Leaders family out there. Welcome to another time with me, Dr. Sarah. So I'm doing this whole recapping of some of these reality TV shows, okay? Let me just see how it feels and what you guys are saying about it. So I am recapping kind of a little bit of this Housewives of Orange County. This is episode 10, all right, of season 19. Please catch episode 9 that I did just recently. Yes, I'm starting like in the middle of the season. That's okay. That's as much as I could do right now. Okay. So in this episode, can I just say off the bat, Bravo is really trying to squeeze these women into a show. And they're not friends. These are colleagues for the most part, all right? Trying to get a check, and for the most part, some of them are clocked in, some of them are sleeping, Gretchen, okay? And where was Katie in this episode? Katie, where are you? You didn't show up for work today, okay? What's going on? Anyway, I guess Emily and Gina really did their thing to try and kind of push this Katie out, and it's working, right? But anyway, she didn't show up for work. And you know what happens when you don't show up for work? I don't know for you, Katie. We're trying to keep the cast a bit diverse, a little bit, a little balanced. And Kate, you're not helping. You're really not helping. Can I say I went to LA for the first time just recently, actually. Lovely town, really fun, beautiful town. I had a really great time. But my thing is, where was everybody? I don't know where the aliens are. Aliens? Let me just call it La La Land people, okay? I don't know where people were. There wasn't much traffic on the road. I can get in and out to restaurants and stuff. I was like, where are the LA people? And this is the beginning of September. Where are all of you? Let me know in the comment section, like, why people are just migrating out. It's like, wow. Like, I went to the Rodeo Drive area, beautiful. And I'm just like, where are the people though? Oh God, that was really odd to me. But anyway, lovely town. But I think next time I go to California, I'm definitely going to check out like a San Diego, San Francisco. Okay. However, in this episode 10, you see our good friend or good sis Tamra, okay, take us to Temecula, California. It looked nice. It was a big mansion she rents out to take some of the girls, okay? Temecula. Anyone been to Temecula before? Let me know in the comment section. So in this episode, basically, you got Tamra, like I said, taking out a few of the girls, Emily, Shannon, and Jen, okay, to a so-called apology tour thing per, who actually said this? Heather Dubrow, okay, said that this is the reason she was trying to be, funny about it. But yeah, I guess it was like some kind of apology, 2-night little vacation with those few girls. So they went to Temecula, beautiful home. Of course, as usual, Shannon seems to always be like the butt of the jokes or trying to create jokes. She's just quirky, she's just quirky. But sometimes I'm like, I think she does it on purpose a little bit, because you can't be that quirky, can you? I don't know. She's just extra. They come into the house eventually, and this is Shannon, in her multiple suitcases just for a 2-night trip, 1-night, 2-day trip. She has all her cookware because she's making breakfast the next day. That was just so extra. But I gotta say, I think having a friend like Shannon would be nice too. She's thoughtful, right? Just gonna make breakfast and she brings all that cookware. But all the other girls are like, what are you doing, Shannon? What are you doing? They're just not so appreciative, but they're just laughing at her. all the time. I don't know if Shannon really cares anymore. She's been on the show for so long, I think she doesn't even care. But anyway, then you got Heather sets up an indoor kind of camping thing for the other girls, specifically Emily and Gretchen, all right, in her penthouse suite apartment in Beverly Hills, you know, because we know Heather lives down there. And I'm like, wow, she lived in Rodeo Drive, and I was just there recently. But yeah, she lives right there. So I like the setup that Heather did for the girls. Beautiful, like camping kind of bed-ish, but glam, like glam camping. So that was nice. And then Heather had a butler. It was a young person. She's just so extra, isn't she? But listen, if you have the money, it is what it is. And then Heather has her people set up like a candy station for when the girls showed up. And I had a bit of a like ick moment seeing the staff, okay, that was getting ready, getting their place ready for Gretchen and Emily. The candy, right? The help, the servants, they were literally using their bare hands to scoop, to get the candy from various packages and put it in the fancy containers with their bare hands. I was like, like, isn't she supposed to be Miss Fancy Pants, Heather Dubrow? Okay? And I'm just like, there is no way am I eating like candy from somebody else's bare hand. What happened to the gloves? I just looked at it and I thought, eek. No. Oh, Heather. You should have told your people to wear gloves. Oh, anyway, that was just my thing on that. Anyway, let's move on. I'm telling you, there's not even much on this episode. Okay. Anyway, let me just fast forward to Heather at some point shows a segment of her podcast that she has, and she invites a trans woman to the show. They have some history together. They've been on a play together. I gotta say, with Heather, just like I think I've always thought before, I love how much Heather is so loving to her kids, because amongst her kids there's some variations in their lifestyle, right? And she's her family's embraced the LGBTQ community. And I will say with Heather, I love that she embraces and loves and accepted this young woman who is a trans woman. Is that correct? I mean, she used to be a man, but now she's a woman. And I could just tell just from the conversation, the young woman just appreciate being accepted and loved and even mothered by Heather. And of course, Heather has, she has some kids or a kid that is gay. So Heather has a lot of empathy and acceptance for this community, because oftentimes, the family of these men and women that decided to transition to a different gender, or embrace a different sexual orientation, often get rejected, abandoned, just feel completely unworthy, right? And though I'm a Christian and I have my views on that, I will say, because the core of Christianity is love, okay? So I am pro how Heather is very loving to these folks that for various reasons they've decided to change their gender or decided to, accept a different sexual orientation. That's not my views on that, but I will hold space for the love and acceptance that Heather shows, okay? That is love, that is light, okay? And I really do believe the power of love and light will always bring the truth to folks that decided to become a different gender, for example. I do believe the right love, the right light, which is, like I said, revelation and truth, will at some point, by God's grace, will bring them to the real understanding of who their real identity is. Anyway, that's all I have to say on that segment with Heather and her podcast and her embracing of that LGBTQ community. Is it LGBTQ plus? Yeah, there's just extra there. But anyway, moving on. Emily, the other thing, I want to say Luke, her son, is so cute. Like, so cute. She has twin boys, right? And Luke is the one that has, I believe, autism. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know in the comment section. But it was really interesting, Emily's conversation with Jen, how what was interesting to me was like how she mentioned the other son was asking to do therapy because of all the, I guess, the chaos in the house right now. Emily puts a lot of like attention on Luke. Emily and her husband, have some contention of how to raise Luke, right, because of some of his mental disabilities. And just to hear in that conversation with Jen that Emily says she thought the other kids just didn't need her as much as Luke, right? But she realized her attention just going on Luke makes the other kids a bit unstable. And she says, she realized those kids do need her, but just need her differently. That's really interesting for certain parents, because I think some parents drop the ball here, where they do feel like some of their kids don't need them, whether because some kids seem very independent, and, self-sufficient. No, when your kids are kids, they still need you parents, okay? They still need the attention. They still need the affirmation. They still need the love. They still need the check-in. But I am happy that at least Emily, at this young stage of the kid's life, she recognized that quickly, that is a win, so that she can adjust and be there healthfully for all the kids. Because I tell you, don't be fooled because your kids, your firstborn, for example, they're self-sufficient, takes initiative, pretty independent, doesn't need you. That is a fallacy. That is misunderstanding. And I hope those of you out there who are parents and give attention just to like the younger kids or one kid versus the other kid, you learn from Emily, because all your kids need you, mom and dad, all of them, different ways, but they still need you. Okay. Moving on. Okay. Let me just move on to Tamra. There was a segment with Tamra and her daughter Sophia. I like that what Sophia, clocked her mom, because Tamra wants to give Shannon this book. Okay. And Sophia was like, see, you're being messy. You're being petty. Tamra is not a friend. We all know this. Tamra is not a friend to Shannon. She's not a friend. And I don't know why she's so pressed to be on the show. I'm sorry, Tamra. Like, you need to just go and sit down and just retire. You look very tired on this episode. Even a previous episode, you look very tired. Always so frazzled. I'm sorry, but she just looks like... Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm really trying to show care here, because she's... Tamra, you are tired. Take time out. You're always on 10. All right? You're stressed out. Wasn't it a few episodes ago that or was it last season? You literally was just like, I'm going to get off. Like, you don't want to come back again. Just stay off. What are you getting from this show anyway? They don't like you anyway. They're just tolerating you. Okay? Like, stop trying to be friends with Shannon. Because the reality is, even when Tamra was inviting the girls to this trip, all right, to Temecula, Shannon didn't even initially say that she wanted to go on the trip. She was very hesitant. Okay, very hesitant. And I just feel like this is like a struggle love friendship between Tamra and Shannon. And there's reasons for that. We know what happened last season, right? But it's just like Tamra, I just feel like she's so fake and she's so inauthentic, and she just wants everybody back she wants to be back on everyone's good side again. My opinion, because she wants to re-manipulate everybody again and be the boss of the group again. And it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Like, as we see through the episode, back in Temecula, you got Gina asking Tamra, why does she think that Shannon is hesitant to move forward with you? And then Tamra's like, because she likes to hold a grudge. No, ma'am, Tamra. It's not about she likes to hold a grudge. Okay? She doesn't trust you, so she's just being more cautious. It's not about a grudge. You flip and flop, Tamra. Okay? Like, if I had a friend like you, quite frankly, I would just do a soft pause, And I think Shannon's trying her best to really have fun with you when she can, Tamra. Okay? But yeah, Tamra just, anyway. She just, and let me tell you something too. Just before they went to the trip to Temecula, Tamara meets up with Emily and literally talks about Shannon, how she was inviting Shannon, and Shannon was like hesitant, and Shannon looked a mess and everything. I'm like, this Tamara, you're trying to be Shannon's friend and you're talking smack about her to Emily? Like, you don't carry the right energy for friendship. You just don't carry the right energy. And I really think that Tamara needs to sit down and retire off. All right? Look at Vicky. She's off the show. I mean, she was kind of pushed off the show, but she's having fun. She has like a podcast. I know Tamara has a podcast too. I think, Tamara, just stick with your podcast and stay off our TV screens. All right? You carry so much anxious energy, but so does Shannon too sometimes. But at least Shannon could be a little bit like goofy with it. She could be like funny with it. Anyway, moving on. Emily, Gretchen, and Heather go out to dinner in Beverly Hills because they're having a sleepover at heatherdubrow's home. Okay, it's a high-rise penthouse suite thing, and they go to a crustacean, and they sit down. They seem really like comfortable with each other initially, and then Emily, with her big mouth, talks about how she had a conversation with Jen, okay? And Jen basically says that Heather is like afraid of Tamra, basically just, doesn't respond to Tamra to keep her accountable. In summary, just paraphrasing, right? So Heather says to Emily, okay, so when Jen, basically says, when Jen says to Emily that she's afraid that we've got Heather afraid of Tamra. Heather's so funny. She says to Emily, okay, so how did you respond to Jen, right? And then Emily has to think about it, right? There's a few seconds. She's like, Emily's a stirrer. She's such a stirrer. She was like, she responded to Heather like, I don't remember, but I kind of said, yeah, you pacify her, something like that, right? What do you mean you can't remember? Then you give a response. But I love the way how Heather immediately responded and clocked it, right? Because she's not waiting to the reunion, okay? She's not waiting to watch this episode. She was like, okay, so how did you respond? Heather is a smart cookie at times. She is. But anyway, do you guys think that Heather is afraid of Tamra? Do you think she is? I mean, Heather did say that there was a situation, and she explained to the girls at dinner, and she explained that she was afraid of how Tamra responds, basically, like very violently, right? And I believe in the previous episode, Heather talks about the Tamra responds violently like her dad, like Heather's dad used to respond. Isn't it funny how sometimes we can actually attract friends that can remind us of our parents? Isn't that interesting? Those attachment styles. All right. So even Heather herself, the mere fact that she can recognize that this is a toxic attachment to Tamra, I'm gonna really advise Heather to just reevaluate her healing, her father wound. All right, and understand that being with somebody that reminds you of your dad's toxicity doesn't mean you're going to get healed from that. You know, doesn't mean that Tamara is going to give you some kind of validity that your dad didn't give you. All right. And the more you keep tolerating the energies of friends that remind you, you know, of a toxic parent, the more you're going to keep generating that type of energy around you, and you're going to keep attracting those type of people. Okay. You are. And quite frankly, you know, they're saying the birds of a feather flock together. So whoever is your friend, if they are a toxic friend, their toxicity is also could be found in you. Okay, I'm sorry, it is what it is. Whoever friends you are, you know, connected with, there's something about you all that you come together. And I would say there's a little bit of shallow trauma bonding between Heather and Tamra for sure. Likewise, I really believe there's some trauma bond friendship with Shannon and Tamra as well. I can understand how they became very close friends. They both experienced divorces, right? So that can really trauma bond females, you know, especially, you know, you're talking about your experiences and things like that. So I can understand how they got close together. But this friendship between Tamra and Shannon's not working. Case in point, the episode pretty much ends with Tamra and Emily and Shannon and Jen in a beautiful dinner setting, right? On their trip. And Jen brings up to Tamra about this alleged, well, not, yeah, I don't want to use that name. It's just a old photo of Jen and Tamra and some other girls when Jen looked a little different, you know. Per Heather, she called it like a fat photo. I don't believe Jen was fat in there, but she looked different. She was a bit heavier, and Jen admitted it. She saw the photo from Tamra, and this was part of their contention. And she saw, yeah, this was a past picture of herself. So Jen, you know, asked Tamara, well, why did you show this old picture of us to Heather? Like, what was your intention? And then Tamara was like, well, you know, I was upset with you, right? But okay, you're upset with her, but why though, right? But in Heather's explanation in the previous segment, Heather was, or was it Heather and Emily? Pretty much the allegedly Tamara showed that picture to the rest of the girls to kind of show that, you know, in her mind, Tamara's mind, that Jen changed to look like Tamara. I don't know why Tamara is so upset with Jen. I don't know what it is. Jen believes, I think what Jen believes is that Tamara doesn't like this new confident, good-looking, fit version of Jen. But Tamara's like, no, I love this. You know, the old you was quiet, shy, you know, timid, whatever, didn't speak up, right? But I don't know, there's something really deeper about this issue she has with Jen. It's interesting because Tamara said in some previous clip, I think they showed it, whereby she doesn't like the fact that, her and Eddie doesn't like the fact that Jen had an affair with her current fiance while she was still married. But clock this, I didn't know this, but Jen dropped a bomb to me. I don't know if anyone else knew this. Jen dropped a bomb and was like, I think it was in a confessional, that Tamra, oh no, I think that was Emma. No, I think that, who actually was Shannon that dropped this bomb? I forget now. But anyways, one of them dropped a bomb during this episode whereby Tamra had an affair with Eddie while Tamra was actually married. I didn't know that. Did anyone else know that? Let me know in the comment section. I'm like, oh my goodness. So maybe Tamra's actually just projecting at Jen, because when she looks at Jen, she sees herself. Okay? She sees herself. She sees parts of herself that she just doesn't like. All right? And she's projecting. Poor Jen. Poor Jen. She's only trying to be Jen. But yeah, Tamra needs a lot of therapy. My God. Like it's a lot to watch. All the psychological gymnastics goes on in this show amongst these girls. But oh my God. Anyway, while Jen and Tamra are like going back and forth, then Shannon Bador crashes into the conversation. Shannon looked like she just had enough, okay, of Tamra. And basically Tamra's basically Shannon's message to Tamra, because she literally confronted Tamra. She was like, Tamra, you just don't take accountability. You know, just like kind of, you know, raising a voice, yelling at her. And then Tamra and Shannon get into it. You know, Tamra's like, I'm trying to be a friend to you. And then, you know, Tamra thinks she's slick. She's like, I was a friend to you through your divorce and everything. And then Shannon, of course, she clocked that. Because I feel like Tamra, every time she says that she's trying to be friends, she wants to bring up really hurtful, like parts of Shannon's past life, just to like remind her, hey, even in the strangest and most painful part of your life, I was there for you. But she really wants to magnify the pain. That's not a good friend. That's not a friend. So anyway, Shannon was like, basically let her know, like, she has been much happier in the past year without Tamra being in her life. And Tamra was like, okay, cool, good for you. And then at some point, it shifts to the conversation about drinks. And then Tamra, to validate herself, was like, yeah, even Gina says she's concerned about you with your drinking. And then, of course, Shannon's looking at Gina like really shocked. And then Gina, Miss I'm not friend with no one, okay? I just don't trust Gina. She's sweet sometimes, but Gina is not a friend to Shannon either. We know this. So anyway, Gina just responds with like, yeah, I'm just like worried about you or concerned about you. And mind you, Gina, in previous segments in this episode, told her man that she just hopes that Tamra doesn't bring up the conversation that she had, you know, communicating with Tamra that she's concerned about Shannon's drinks. You know, if you tell Tamra about stuff, that she's gonna bring it up. Even your man said to you, yeah, it's gonna be standard. Use the word standard for Tamra to report back and use it against Shannon. Gina is not a friend. She's another stirrer. Yeah, Gina and Emily are the stirrers of the group. All right, they have nothing else to do but just stir the pot. Anyway, it just kind of ended there. All right, it ended there, and I am just like exhausted watching it. I don't know if I'm gonna do another recap of this. I will try. We'll see how it goes. But I just honestly think, I think this is a popular opinion. Real Housewives of Orange County, I think you need to take a time out, just like Real Housewives of Miami did years ago, right? I feel like Orange County is approaching that hiatus. It really needs to, or just switch up the cast. That's all I'm saying. Like, switch up the cast, because it's almost like just this force of grown women coming together and trying to bond, but instead it just like crashes. Just crashes. But I guess they're showing up to work and they're trying to be the best performer, but their performance for me in this episode is like a 4.5. Highest. With a range from like 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10 to 4.5 out of 10. Like, it's really not great. Anyway, that's all I have for you all. All right? Let me know in the comment section if you are going to continue watching Orange County. Let me know. Okay? I want to know. Until next time, before you leave out, do your girl a favor. Give her a thumbs up, okay? And I will see you in the next video. Bye.